Hey guys, Scripted here with another video, and we're talking about Mark Hamill believed returning as Luke Skywalker for Disney's sequels would be a mistake, but felt compelled after Harrison Ford signed on. If I'm the only one who says no, I'll be the most hated man in nerddom. Well, I don't know. In retrospect, with what they did to Luke, people probably say, good job for not getting involved, but okay. Luke Skywalker himself, Mark Hamill, has said he was initially reluctant to return in his iconic Star Wars role, believing that Disney would be unable to catch lightning in a bottle twice. Speaking to The Hollywood Reporter, Hamill admitted he had real reservations about agreeing to return and believed he wouldn't be the only one of the saga's classic cast to turn Disney down until he read that even Harrison Ford was coming back as Han Solo. Well, I mean, Harrison Ford got a bag for Star Wars. Didn't he get like $30 million for The Force Awakens or some crazy thing? And then I read somewhere, I could be wrong, Hamill got like $13 million or something for The Last Jedi. I had real reservations about coming back. I thought it would be a mistake. You can't catch lightning in a bottle twice. They should really focus on a new generation of characters. And I thought, well, Harrison is not going to do it anyway. You could see his irritation with constantly having to talk about Han Solo.
Da, 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 da.
Shut the Hey! That's worth a lot of money. That's an original. And then there's an Rufus leg. Hey, get it. Hey, come on.
That's true. But I mean, you pay somebody enough, they're going to do it.
Did you get emotional when you put the wardrobe on?
No, I got paid. Yeah.
Once I saw in the press that he had accepted, I felt I had been drafted. Because if I'm the only one who says no, I'll be the most hated man in nerddom. Hamill went on to appear as Luke Skywalker in all three of the series' sequel trilogy movies, with a cameo at the end of The Force Awakens, a significant role in The Last Jedi, and then he was a Force ghost in Rise of Skywalker. Of course, Hamill has gone on to reprise the character of Luke Skywalker again since, digitally de-aged but physically on set for several episodes of The Mandalorian, and when asked why the actor had felt compelled to return once more there, Hamill gave a separate reason. Well, it was The Mandalorian, and then it was the Book of Boba Fett. But I like that they just put The Mandalorian, because I have always suspected that those two episodes were supposed to be the first two episodes of the next Mandalorian season, and they used them in the Book of Boba Fett. That's just my theory. I might be crazy, but that's what it seemed like to me. The reason I did The Mandalorian was that Luke had a beginning and an end. There was no middle. It was like making a trilogy about James Bond as a young boy who first became aware of the Secret Service and wanted to be part of it. Part 2 was him training to be an agent. Part 3 is earning his license to kill. The end. No From Russia with Love, no Dr. No, or Goldfinger. You never got to see Luke as a master Jedi at his peak powers. He was the most idealistic character in that series. He was someone who would take adversity and double down and come back and counter his setbacks. We didn't see any of that. So when I got the chance, I thought, geez, this is wonderful. I think John and Dave, boy, do they get Star Wars. They get it. They're speaking the same language that George did in a way that I questioned in the sequels. Well, that's where he's either willfully ignorant or just straight out wrong. Because we know from the making of The Last Jedi that Filoni was on board with making Luke the way that they did to try to elevate either Leia or Rey. This is in writing. He was very much for that, and he was very much in those meetings when they were discussing the sequels. He wasn't directly involved, but he was certainly influential. And clearly they were running these ideas by him. So, remember when Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni had an argument about whether or not Luke was a Jedi Master in Return of the Jedi? I don't know. I don't think Dave Filoni really gets Star Wars. I've discussed this on my channel a million times where he does things that are totally counter to what George would have wanted, totally counter to even sort of logical stuff. And so, no, I don't think Dave Filoni gets it. I think Favreau was pretty good at the beginning, and then by the time Mandalorian Season 3 came along, he started to go down the road of stupidity as well. I don't know how much of a choice he had in that, but yeah, you could argue the first two seasons of The Mandalorian are probably the best things that Disney has offered with Star Wars, and Favreau was heavily involved with that. So I would give him a little more leeway, but even he, I mean, In Mandalorian Season 3, Mandalorian was a tertiary character. It was all about Bo-Katan and all this other stuff. So it wasn't really the Mandalorian. And so I don't know, John, I don't know what happened there, but no, neither of them, quite frankly. Hamill recalled auditioning for the film version of Amadeus, but not getting the part after being told his time in a galaxy far, far away had left him typecast. It was disappointing, Hamill said, but everyone has their own trajectory. I had my challenges and other people have different challenges. I don't have to be a leading man. I'm happy just to be working and stuff, or be a working stiff, and that's what I get, or that's what I was for the longest time. All I wanted to do when I started it was make a living doing what I love to do. I didn't want to be Tom Cruise, and by those standards, I succeeded far beyond my expectations. Wow, I didn't want to be Tom Cruise. I mean, it's easy to say that now, Mark. I'm pretty sure you'd like being worth, $500 million or whatever Tom Cruise is worth. I'm not saying, but it's... And the thing is the whole typecast thing, I'm not really sure why that would be. I'm not really sure why the character of Luke and the way he portrayed it would have typecast him, because it was such a sort of timeless hero's journey story. It wasn't particular. A lot of people get typecast because they get into something really, really particular. Like I play gangster or something, right? And then you play a gangster in a couple of movies, maybe you're a henchman, and then you end up just being that for your entire career. In fact, there's a whole group of Hispanic dudes that started their own kind of, I think it was like their own agency or something, or like group together. And throughout the 90s and 2000s, they played like gangs and stuff in like a ton of movies. It was like the same group of guys, different, not all of them all the time, but like the same group of guys. And those guys, you could argue, were totally typecast, but they wanted to be. They were like, this is who we are, this is what we're being cast as, so let's organize and kind of start a thing with that. And they were in tons of movies. That I can see, but I don't see why Luke Skywalker's character, his character grows a lot in the films. He starts off as this whiny teenager and ends up as this super confident Jedi Knight. I don't get that he would be typecast. Is it possible that he didn't get those roles because people just didn't think he was a good enough actor? I mean, it's not like people look back at the original trilogy and talk about how wonderful Mark Hamill was as an actor. He was fine. He did the job. But I don't think anyone would call it particularly special acting. So maybe that's why he didn't get more roles. As he got older, he got better. And he did lots of good voiceover work. And he did a few other things. But I don't know. I just think he just didn't get roles because he didn't get roles. I mean, I don't know. But he says he was told that it had left him typecast by the people who were doing Amadeus. Okay. Well, but the thing is, here's the other thing with this too. If you were typecast, why would they call you for an audition? Why would they even let you audition if they had already decided you were typecast? It just seems like a waste of time. So I don't know. Mark Hamill's kind of funny. Some of the stuff he says, you're kind of like, I'll take that with a grain of salt because I don't really know, if that's true. But in retrospect, he got paid a lot of money, so, whatever. But in retrospect, as far as him saying no, if he had said no, I think a lot of people would have been really, really mad. But looking back after the film was released, people would have been like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad he didn't, waste his time with The Last Stupid Jedi. What a horrible movie. So, it is what it is. I mean, I don't see how anyone could have said no to millions and millions of dollars and to reprise a role. And if he was reluctant, his reasoning actually does make sense. Catching lightning in a bottle twice, he's not wrong. That's really, really hard to do most of the time. I think, though, with the Star Wars sequels, it actually was super easy. It was really easy what they could have done with the sequels and with Luke's character. They just didn't do it. They tried to be edgy and subvert expectations and create mystery boxes and do all this stuff when they could have just kept it simple and people would have loved it. That doesn't mean you have to do the same thing again, but you could have kept it a lot simpler story-wise and done a lot more with it. And you could have done a lot more stuff that was more relating to the EU, which, George himself said, the grandchildren, plural, of Anakin Skywalker. That was what it was supposed to be about. And they only had one. They had Ben. That's it. So I mean, he's right. It would have been difficult if you're looking at it overall, but I don't think it would have been that hard with Star Wars. And at his age, you take the bag. I mean, Harrison Ford did. He complained about being Han Solo for decades. He wanted him dead. He wanted him dead in Empire. He wanted him dead in Jedi. But when someone's going to hand you millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars, you're going to do it, and he did. So I think ultimately you weren't going to say no to these movies. Were you? Like, really? But I don't know. You guys let me know in the comment section. If you like this content, please like, subscribe. It always helps the channel. Feel free to check out anything else on my channel. Have yourselves a really good day.